Hello, everybody.
Hello,
Welcome to
hello, hello.
the DC Spotlight podcast. Today is Friday and it's November 8th. And I hope you guys all went out and voted. We know the results of the election. Everybody was waiting for the results of the presidency. Ooh, look at that. I voted. Everybody was waiting for the results of the election here in America and around the world. And Tuesday was a doozy, I'll tell you. Um, we knew the election was going to be close. We knew it was going to be a long night, and we knew that Trump and Harris were neck and neck. And we also knew that it was going to be a nail biter. And needless to say, it was. So we know the answer. We already know the answer. So drum roll, please. The new president is Donald J. Trump. And tonight we're going to be discussing the week that was and the events that led up to this election. So before I get started, I want to make a statement based on something that Stephen Colbert said. Even when you don't feel good as far as doing what you have to do, and that is this show, he said, I get to do this show. I don't have to do it. I get to do it. And I'm glad that the viewers are trusting us to bring them a great show. And that's what we're going to do tonight. So let's get started. Let's get started. Tonight, our co hosts are Tracey Chavous and Zoe McKey. And I am Wendy Thompson, the editor in chief of the DC Spotlight newspaper. So let's jump right in. We have a lot to cover. So on Tuesday night after the polls, the campaigns were pretty excited, but Harris was more than excited. She was pretty confident she was going to win. So Tracey, right out the gate, what happened?
She didn't win.
She didn't win.
She did
What
not
happened?
win.
What happened? What with the polls had them neck and neck, and I don't think that was the ending that showed that they were neck and neck. Um, what happened? What let's put it this way. What did she do right? What did she do right? And then we'll do the contrary.
What Vice President Kamala Harris did right was that she ran a campaign with integrity, regardless of the amount of days that she had. Her opponent had the same. She ran a tremendous campaign. It was invigorating. It was electrifying. It was encouraging. It was
Positive.
positive. It was well put together. It was inclusive. It was her actions were fair. Her campaign team was diverse in terms of age and background and so on. And I've read a lot of commentary about what she should have done and what she could have done. My personal take is woulda, coulda, shoulda. She came in, she showed up, and she went right to work. And she did this at the same time, simultaneously, as being the vice president of the United States of America. Who does that?
Thank you.
Who does
Thank you.
that? And who
Thank
does
you.
that well?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
With
So,
three
as far as
months.
what happened,
3 months.
I have a gut feeling that because of the way her campaign was going and the popularity that she was gaining across the board in terms of age group, gender, everything. I just have a feeling that there were some other hands playing in the sandbox, honestly, because he kept saying throughout the campaign, "We have a secret, and you're going to be so surprised. And we have a secret. We don't even need to campaign." These are kinds of things that I was listening to. Like, what does that mean? Okay, the end result, it showed. It just showed. Here's somebody who Kamala Harris bowed out gracefully. She accepted her loss. Would that have been the case otherwise? Probably not. She didn't even ask for a recount. There were so many things that happened just days, hours leading up to the election in terms of ballots missing and fires at polls and mailboxes being blown up and stuff like that. Were those actually counted? Were people able to fairly get there? We had a lot of catastrophes also in Florida and in, you know, Western North Carolina and other parts of the South where people were really um, misplaced, displaced in their own homes. I think the last thing they might have been thinking about was the election. So, you know, was there fair opportunity to be able to do those things, to get to polls, to be able to get things that they need for themselves? I mean, who's thinking of voting when they're trying to provide for their families and things like that? I just feel like something stinks in Funky Town,
Yes, yes.
big time.
Zoe, what is your take on what she did well? On what she did well?
What Vice President Kamala Harris did well was she made full use of her time. She was gifted a very there were the flawed hand, I will say, for lack of a better word. She did what she could, and she showed up and she showed out. As a Howard graduate, I'm very proud of Kamala. Uh, And the odds were stacked against her, I will say. She was facing critique from every turn. The DNC didn't really give her due diligence, I believe. President Biden bowing out so late when he did, it contributed a lot. So I do believe that she did really well. I feel like if it was any other candidate, they wouldn't have been able to do what she did. And if she had more time, I do believe she could have pulled through. I do, honestly.
I
Yes.
feel like if I agree, if somebody else that did not look like her, that didn't even have the same credentials and the same abilities as she did, and let's just call it, if that person had the same, if another person, a man, had the same momentum and grassroots efforts behind them, the Democrats would have won.
Yeah.
They would
Yeah.
have won, right?
I I will go so far as to say, and this is a broad statement, but I think she did excellently against misogyny. How can
Absolutely.
you,
Really
how
did.
can you, we have hundreds, maybe thousands of years of men in America, well, not thousands in America, but hundreds at least in America of misogyny against Black women, against women. And that showed its ugly head
Ugly.
this time. And we thought, hey, we thought we had passed racism.
Oh no.
Then misogyny knocked at the door and said, hey, we're still here. We're still here. And now you see the things that they're saying to Letitia,
Yes,
yes,
James.
James, the things that they're saying to her and the way they're saying it.
Oh, it's an outright threat. It's
Misogyny,
almost, yes.
it's a threat to, as if we're weakling, as if we're weaklings.
And then calling her sweetheart. You just wait, sweetheart, type of
Exactly.
thing. It's
And this
it's
is
a
a
very bold
person,
threat. That
the
seemed like a
person who,
bold threat for her life, not for her decision.
and this is a person who's supposed to be running for the AG position, the Attorney General's position, who's making threats like this. So let's move forward. So her concession speech. Did you guys get to hear her concession speech? There were some takeaways that I liked from that speech. I loved from that speech. And what were your takeaways from that speech, Zoe?
My takeaway, well, I was hurt when I was listening to it.
Of course, you
I
have the
wanted to,
Howard. She was at
yes,
Howard, so it meant more to you.
it did. I wanted to be on campus to watch the campaign, but unfortunately, I had the LSAT the next day, so I had to stay in and bunker down and study. So when she said that she wasn't going to come and speak immediately after when the projections were in and the AP had already decided who was going to win, I I can only imagine what she was feeling in that moment as a Black woman who put herself on the line, who was the target for so much hate and vitriol. And I knew she needed a minute to get herself together, and I don't blame her for that.
Exactly.
I don't blame
Exactly.
her for that at all. My peers thought that the day after was going to be a celebration. There were already parties planned. Everybody was RSVPing. Everybody was so excited. So for her to come in and give that speech, I cried.
Oh, really?
Cried. I can be honest, I cried. But I in one of the most one of the things that stuck with me the most was when she said that don't let anyone tell you that it's impossible. Because when she was announced that she was going to be running for presidency, there were a lot of naysayers who said she's a Black woman. She could never do it. She'll never get elected. There were a lot of people who were nihilistic about it. And I found myself being nihilistic about it as well, knowing what I know, knowing my life experience as a Black woman. But when she said that, it really resonated with me as someone who is about to be navigating the America. So it was a beautiful speech, and a lot of things will carry with me for future reference. And hopefully one day we're gonna get that Black woman in office.
Tracy, what about you? What did you think of her speech?
I thought it was eloquent, and I thought it was beyond appropriate. I thought it was extraordinarily fair, but it had an arm of it. It had an arm to it that sort of talked about, you know, definitely stressing not to give up. Like, okay, fine. We're just going to need to roll up our sleeves, and we're gonna come back even stronger. I have to say, at the beginning, when her candidacy was announced, I was a naysayer, not because I did not like Kamala Harris or favor her or believe in her. It was because I didn't believe in America. I didn't believe that America was ready. And I felt like if she runs, it's going to be the same kind of story. Being a woman that is accomplished, a Black woman that's accomplished, that is overqualified for so many things that I've interviewed for, been in other people's presence for. And I just felt like it was going to be an even better opportunity for the Republicans to win. It wasn't that she couldn't do it. That wasn't even what crossed my mind at all. But I dusted myself off and felt like, okay, fine. All right, we're going to fight. We're going to fight. We're going to show up. When we fight, we win. And so I said, okay, fine. I got to adjust my winning attitude and roll up my sleeves and volunteer and do the things that we did, for countless other events. I felt that her speech was graceful. I felt like it was sort of like a pep talk to all of the women and girls around the country and around the world.
Of all colors, all over the
world. Yes.
We're all feeling.
At every walk of life, like, don't you dare give up. You may cry, but hey, weeping may endureth, right? It's sort of like, dust yourself off and try again. And I was sort of like, I was happy for her. I was so proud, but I was angry. I was so angry because I'm like, here we go again, having to be the better person while all these other people are calling me trash and the B word and questioning my heritage and my ethnicity,
your work ethic,
my work ethic, talking about my HBCU, education, all the things. And I just was really angry and resentful. They're like, oh, but then when you look at the percentages and of where the votes went, it makes it's clear. We weren't voting for intelligence. We weren't voting for experience. It's almost like the more ignorant, the better for the opposing group.
Exactly.
Because, they'll fall for anything. Yeah. They were okay with not hearing the policy and a plan. They were okay with that. They just wanted to know that of all the things that he wanted to get rid of, not how he was going to do it, no plan, no process by
just
which
say it.
You would
just
get
say
there.
It. Yeah, right. Just say, I'm going to do this. That's it.
I'm going to do it. I have a semblance of a plan. I tell you what, we're going to get rid of all these people and do all these things. And it really brought me back to reading some things in history and validating the reasons why they want to, cross off some aspects of history and ban certain books. And they don't want the next generation to be aware of any of those things. It's going to be like, well, I don't see it. There's no evidence of it. So I don't know what you're talking about. And so then as a result of those results from the election, it is an additional, even larger opportunity for these people who have nothing to lose to be emboldened. I'm seeing it already on the road. and in the
Well,
stores.
let me ask this. Oh, we'll definitely have to discuss that because the in the DC metro area,
The smugness.
the smugness, the rudeness, the looks, the people that generally are smiling and kind to you in the stores and things like that, they're like dismissive, like you're nothing, like you're nothing, you know. But I want to mention something. So when she said, when we fight, we win,
Mhm.
but sometimes the fight takes a while. I want to talk about that. You know why? I want to make you remember a little time in history. Back in 2000, when George Bush won, and he won through the Supreme Court giving him the election, basically, is what happened. And then in 2004, he won again against Kerry and Edwards, and the country was just beside itself. We were like, I mean, this is black and white. They were just beside itself. He's incompetent, he's this, he's that, and everything. Well, Bush, his presidency and his administration was so poorly done and left the country in such bad and dire straits that I had friends who were in the Bush administration, and they said that when they came out of the administration, they took his name off of their resume. They said we were so
Mm.
embarrassed to be in his. And I don't remember. I remember it being bad, but I don't remember it being that bad for them. And they said no. We have many friends who just wiped it off of their resume. They didn't want anyone to know that
Mm.
they were in that administration. Now, I'll tell you how bad it was. If you don't think it was that bad, it was so bad that we elected a black president the next administration. So when you think about where we are right now, sometimes it takes that to get what we're waiting for. And when she said, when we fight, we win, but sometimes the fight takes a while, we might just have to wait 4 years to get what we're waiting for.
And other
So,
people have said it might be 2 years because of the midterms and stuff like that. That was that was a going something where people were going back and forth and said, "Oh yeah, but they're probably going to do away with that."
to do away with,
The midterm elections.
oh, really?
That's just conversation that people have been having on social media. I've been just reading a lot of dialogue in between things that are people are saying, and it's hard to tell. It really is hard to tell. Like the whole mindset is barbaric.
Yeah. So,
And
what do you think? What did Trump do right? Let's be fair. What did he do right? We got to give equal time to both of them.
I feel like he spoke to his base about the things that address their rage, about
Mhm.
being pressed to the back, and about the darkening of America, about there being more Black and brown people by a certain period of time in the future, and them not wanting that. And we're taking all the jobs, and we're doing this, and people are intermarrying, and all the stuff about religion. That, yeah.
And what do you
Um,
think, Zoe? What do you think he did right?
I think,
Just
okay.
as a like as one comedian said, as a performer, how did he perform? How did he perform? What did he do
hmm.
that led to his base coming out and supporting him in mass numbers? If that's indeed what happened, because we don't know. We're early on in this election.
We
There's so
are.
many things can
Yes.
come out in this election because they were saying that there were a hundred thousand votes in what state was that? There were 100,000 votes in
I believe it
Pennsylvania.
was Wisconsin.
That
No,
what?
I think it was Pennsylvania that
Hmm.
there were 100,000 votes that were they just found.
Oh,
Yeah, and then the we're early. We're early. So
I'm
we don't know.
surprised, but she conceded. So I'm surprised, Jade, she did not, her team did
Wait,
not ask for a recount.
recount or wait.
I
This
would
was
be like,
close.
oh,
This was
an
very close.
extension, like a
This
tax extension.
this was very close. So Zoe, what do you think he did well?
Donald Trump has a way of making his followers genuinely believe that he cares about the same issues that they care about. And that's one of his strong suits.
They feel heard.
They do. They feel heard. They feel listened to. They're like, this guy is really going to take into account my own personal issues and my own personal struggles. The language that he uses is very inflammatory, but the upside of using inflammatory language is the ability to elicit an emotional response, which he does very well. He played into the game that also Democrats were playing in a way. It was, I will say that the Democratic Party kind of played into defeating the big bad, which I also feel like was it hindered them in a way because he proudly proclaimed to be the big bad. I'm going to own the libs. I'm going to own the liberals. And he turned it into not an election, but a football game, a sports game. Your favorite team is going to win. That's what he turned it into. So he was that I think that's what he did the best. I really do. And his followers, they took the bait and here we are.
Yeah.
They take it every time.
Yeah. So what we will soon find out also is there were some people who were paid possibly for their vote by Elon Musk.
Correct.
So yes. What do you think of that?
Well,
I mean, can you imagine
if the shoe fits, because what isn't the state of Pennsylvania suing him now for that?
Yes. Who is that? The district attorney, Larry Krasner, is suing Elon Musk because he paid money, possibly, I'm not saying this is allegedly, for people to vote, for people to cast their votes. And he's investigating and he's suing him to make sure that nothing illegal was done. What do you think about this place that we are right now where big money can come in? Now, we know big money gives donations, but can you imagine paying people to vote?
Yes, I can. That's where they are.
Sign a petition to vote.
Look how many people didn't vote. Imagine that amount of people receiving a payment in order for them to vote. Look how that would have changed. That would have just turned the needle just a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
I do believe that there was some, I definitely smell foul play for sure. Look at the stock market the day after.
Yes.
Look at how much more each of those big spenders was worth on the 6th, Trump included.
I watched DJT stock. That's Donald J. Trump stock. And it's actually a stock. I watched it the night before and it was at 30, it's about 34, 35. And in pre-market trading, you might not know what that is, but in pre-market trading before the stock market even opened, it went up $10. Do you know how much money you can make when a stock goes? I think that was 35%. It was 35 to 38%. It went up overnight. Do you know how much money he made if he sold any stock after it went up at that time? Now it's come back down dramatically now. I think it's about at 30, but they're making a killing. It's like the lottery. It's like a bet.
Exactly. It's the billionaire club.
Yeah, it's the billionaire
That's what
club.
it is.
They are benefiting financially off of us, off of our pain, mind you.
Correct. And I think that's where those other votes went from those other groups. That 20% of Black males, which was still a small amount comparatively, but then like the Hispanic male vote, like all of those other votes, the other women, I feel like you had to, people want to make money. They want to move anything out that anyone or anything out that would be a roadblock. And I think that's very appealing to his base. That is just, I just think that something is up, especially when Musk is being sued.
Yes.
And then did you also notice the day after, was it yesterday though, Thursday, where Jeff Bezos said to all of the employees at the Post, now you need to come back into the office, because everybody was still working remotely.
No way.
Yes, he said it was quoted in the discussion this morning, and it said that Jeff Bezos basically told the Washington Post staff that now it's time to return to the office.
That's retaliation for
That's
voting.
crazy. Yeah, when you just start thinking of it, it's like every single day, something little. It's like, and a lot of things leading up to the election, I feel like people were very distracted by so much going on in the news at one time
Mm-hmm.
I'm
that then
gonna
2 days later, it was like, what? You know,
I'm gonna tell you. So I was watching the Colbert Show and I was watching um, Jimmy Kimmel, and Jimmy Kimmel did an excellent his coverage. Colbert is my favorite, but Jimmy Kimmel this time he knocked it out of the ballpark. So he went out on the street and he interviewed people and he said, "Today is Wednesday, and are you going to vote today? Who's your candidate?" And people were just, I mean, they were seriously talking about who they were going to vote for, and you could tell that they were like, yeah, I'm gonna vote. I'm gonna vote. Yeah, who you gonna vote for? Yeah, Kamala. I support her. I support her issues and everything like that. Yeah. So you are you gonna rush off and vote now? The person was like, yes. And this was person after person. I'm sure they had encountered people who knew that it was not that day, that it was the day before.
right. Oh my
But
God.
yeah, but there were so I mean, these were genuine people who did not know. And then one person got perturbed when he said, "Oh, you know what? Don't even bother answering because you really don't even know what's going on." And it was just
That's
like
sad.
and this was black, white, across the board, all different
That's
types of
sad.
people who did, and then some of them didn't even know who they were like, who's on the ballot right now? Is Joe Biden still on the ballot? Who's on the ballot right now? It was so you have to watch it. It was flabbergasting to
This was
watch.
on Wednesday or Wednesday. I'm
This
gonna
was
pull that
Wednesday.
up.
Wednesday, yes.
Yeah, I was
So
so irritated. I didn't turn on anything.
I didn't turn on anything. I
On
couldn't
election
watch.
night, I went to bed at 10:30 because I was like, I can't take it. I went to bed, said a prayer before bed. I woke up at 4 a.m. And when I looked at my phone, I just went into the bathroom because my husband was asleep and I just was crying in the bathroom.
Oh, I'm not going there. I'm not going to be the weeper. I'm not. You will
Okay,
not
just
take
it's
me
like
out like
cry,
that.
cry. Okay.
No, I'm not.
Hey,
I'm not
tears
going
are
to be
liquid
that girl.
prayers and you
I'm
can
not
get
going to be
up
that girl.
and
I
move
said my
on.
prayers and I said, you know what? We can take it. We can take it. You can dish it. We can take it.
But you know,
So,
a lot of black women in general, myself included, have the mindset like we we show up all the time, 90%. We're not giving up the playbook. We don't want to hear the tears. Certain people didn't show up. Y'all got this. We're gonna just stay. We're gonna use. I read a quote that said, "We are going to take that cape off, turn it around, and right now we're gonna rest and turn that cape into a blanket."
Mm-hmm.
And
yes.
we need to rest our collective spirits at this time.
Yes, we do.
Y'all
We
got
do.
this. You guys can do it. You can do it, but don't ask us.
Oh, you
Not
mean
right
in
now.
the future? In the future?
Just right now. Just in general. There were a lot of little memes about that, and some were serious and some were funny, and but they it helped bring me
It
out of
made
a
the
little
point.
funk earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, it made the point. So let's move on to the next topic, which is eminent domain. So this is what I learned. I learned that
Mm,
Trump, behind the scenes, he's already working. So in Texas, they were trying to take a farmer's land. I think they said it was a female who
Mm-hmm.
owned all this property who that's on the border, and they could not get her to let them do eminent domain to take her land. She said no, and she would not let them come on the land to inspect what they called, immigrants, illegal immigrants coming through, or they made some accusations that they were being raped on her property and things like that to be allowed to come on there. And she said no. So you know what they did? They made her an offer that she couldn't refuse, and they paid her for the land all along the border because they said eminent domain, that process would have taken too long for them to take her land. Yes, they bought up all that land. And so a mile of that land is $25 million.
Ooh,
So I don't know
so
how
how much
did they
did
pay
she
her.
earn?
They didn't say. They didn't say so far. They did not say.
Is this, I wonder if this is the same lady that there was an article done on several years ago?
I have no idea. I have
He
no idea.
wasn't in office or anything like that, but they were talking about this land and how people were cutting through her land to get on American soil.
Mm.
That
I'm
might
like,
have been her.
It could
That might
have.
have been her.
I
What do you
remember
think
reading
about
a
that?
story a few years ago.
What do you
Well,
think
I
about that?
mean, it's wrong, but she went for it. She took the bait.
Yeah. What do you think, Zoe?
Um, I'm kind of disheartened that she folded, but I know that check was large. I know
Yes.
it was.
Yes.
As
See,
a
I go on. Go on.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
as a person who is registered to vote in Texas, I believe it was a waste of taxpayer money.
Oh boy.
Um,
Good point.
I
Good point.
anyone lots of people have done research on a border wall. A lot of Republicans, when you bring up the concept of a wall, they always bring up like the Great Wall of China and things like that. A lot of people don't know the Great Wall of China is disjointed. There are gaps. They'll never be able to build a complete wall separating Texas from Mexico. It's just simply not going to happen.
And they probably have tunnels to do that.
Yes.
I mean, people are just like, creatures, animals, close one way, they find another.
Exactly. And a
I
lot of
don't know.
illegal immigrants coming to the country, they just overstay their visa. They fly in and they just stay. And
Yeah.
there, I, it's just going to fuel more ignorance. It's going to fuel more ignorance. It's going to make Republican, it's to appease the right. That's
It's
simply.
going to make it more difficult for everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Like when 9/11 happened and how everything at the airport changed in terms of bringing liquids and taking your shoes off and
Yes.
going through security and all of that. And then any extras that you might have, like clear or anything else, you pay for that. So then it's like the haves and the have-nots when it comes to that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Texas
So
has
on
some issues that need focusing on, like the power grids, so we don't have another 2020 phenomena where people are freezing. I think priorities are not in order, and
The infrastructure is not there, and I'm shocked that Ted Cruz won.
yeah,
Shocked.
that's another thing. Yeah, he
I
did.
was shocked. I knew Colin Allred was going to win. I knew it.
a good friend of mine, he was
I
working on the campaign for Colin, and he was watching the results come in. The Democrats lost in an hour. In an hour.
And
I
I
am
just think that's hard to believe.
you know what? I don't believe it.
I don't
I don't
believe it.
believe it. I don't believe it because it just did not occur. It didn't occur. I just don't believe it. There's no I will have to wait. I will patiently wait to see how this plays out because I think there will be investigations, especially with the paying of people.
Mm-hmm.
I had a friend in Baltimore who said that they're at the last minute, right above Baltimore, um, 5 to 6 huge buses came to one of the polls, and the people on the bus were not registered. And they came in and they had to register all of them. And the polls, generally close at a certain time, and they were closing. And they had to register all these people and let them vote. I don't know if that's the surprise that he talked about. I don't know if they did that all around I don't know if those people were paid and they were paid to come in at the last minute and come in and vote at the last minute. I don't know.
I
But
think the
he said,
surprise was that somebody triggered those polls from another country.
Yes, what
I will
happened in
say this.
Georgia when Russians were calling in bomb threats in Fulton County and they had to shut down several times because you can't take a bomb threat lightheartedly. So actively preventing people from voting.
Or yeah, right, keeping them away. Then the people who are there have to evacuate. Then they get frustrated because they have to wait and then go. Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
everybody's not rich and don't work and can go and vote whenever they want to. People
Mhm.
have jobs and lives and children, and
And they may not have been able to early vote or mail
yeah,
in or
yeah,
whatever. You're right.
yeah,
But
you
I
know.
just think that there are too many hands in the pot here. And
I'm interested in seeing how this shakes out. I think this is the early days. So much has happened even since the actual election.
yeah.
So much has come to light. And I think so much more is going to come to light. And I think if you don't think there's going to be a response from the Democrats, from the women,
Oh,
you're you're wrong.
now they've
They're
planned, I think there's 6 marches between
no, no,
now,
no, 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 not
but
marches. I mean
no,
action.
but I'm saying the
Oh yes.
awareness is more, there. The anger, the drive to see this turn a different way is there. What the one thing about these marches, I'm marched out at this point with that, but I feel like it builds the thunder. It keeps it going.
Yeah.
What do you think about what were you saying you feel like as far as from women, um the next step or the next thing? What do you think?
What do you think?
No, what do you think, Wendy?
What do I think? I think we're planning. You think that was a November surprise? I think there's going to be a December surprise. So
Oh,
we'll wait and see. We have about 3 minutes left, so I'm going to hit a few round robins here. So I just want to clarify something because I had someone in my family who said that Beyonce was paid $10 million to show up at Harris's campaign. And when you have a campaign endorsement like that, you have to report it. And so far, Kamala's campaign has a $75 endorsement, and that's it. That's all that's been reported. So they were saying she misused money, the Harris campaign misused money, paying $10 million. I can't see that ever happening. But I am talking about facts. And so far, as of now, the only expenditure that they have is a $75 expenditure for the League of Conservation. They got an endorsement from them. So um,
I don't
there's
know.
one other thing I wanted to mention. So Chef Jose Andreas is thinking about running. We have 2 minutes, so I can't take any comments on that, but he's thinking about running for the Senate. And you know how Chef Andreas is. We love, love, love him. And we have celebrities like America Ferrera and Cher, who's talking about leaving America. That's a topic we can't discuss right now. But that's about all we can discuss today. And I'm going to close out the show tonight. But what's the takeaway? Quickly, in 30 seconds, what's the takeaway from this week?
Hmm.
And I think you know what I'm gonna say what I think the takeaway is, and then you guys can comment. The takeaway is, like you said, for Black women and women in general, take the cape off and wrap yourself in it. We fought for so long, so many years. Take care of yourself. Take
For
care of
sure.
yourself.